Hey, this video is proudly sponsored by Wingfox. If you'd like to know how to make beautiful illustrations like Mr. Ching Ming Wang here, if I said that right, hopefully I did. Alright, he's been in the industry for about 15 years. He's been an artist for many large companies. He does concept art, as you could see. He specializes in colors, lights, and shadows. He shares his project experience during the tutorial, which, by the way, you could find the link in the description. It's really practical for you and you can relate to it, no matter what art you're making. Colors, lights, and shadows is really, really important. And that's especially something that I've been studying for the past year that really helped me up a bit. So, there's also some key knowledge points that you're going to be learning here. And by the way, to receive this much knowledge, it's actually a pretty cheap price. So you'll know line sketch, and then you'll know layering of colors, and coloring and lighting theories and everything like that. He's a professional, so, he won't be like, just copy what I do. He's going to explain things in depth way better than I ever can. And I'm actually going to be learning from him too. There's also some Q&As if you guys want to see, like, anything there. There's also a code here that you can use. It used to be about $60 for the course, now it's only about $20. So yeah, follow the link in the description so that you guys can learn how to become an art god. Really, I'm also probably gonna purchase the course so that I can figure out how to be an art god too. Even though I'm already okay at drawing and stuff, there's always room for improvement. So let's move on to the tutorial. Alrighty, so also you're gonna want to be poking around with your magic wand settings depending on the color of your hair and stuff. Alright, so we're just going to be selecting the base color, and as you can see, I made the hair a little more detailed because this is for shading hair, this isn't for how to draw hair. If you have no idea how to draw hair, then you can, go look at my tutorials and you'll find out how to draw hair. So, also, for a base color, even if you're doing light colored hair, we want something a little less saturated, more of a mid-tone color. And now we're getting a really bright, saturated version of what your base color is with a normal airbrush, and we're just tapping it in the middle. Also, by the way, for this entire video, except for the airbrushes, I'm using custom brushes. If you do not have my custom brushes, then please, follow the description. Alright, also we're copying, cut, paste. It moves that whatever we had selected onto a new layer, and then we're moving that underneath the line art. Making new layer, setting it to clipping. We're getting the S soft, that's not so soft. Okay, that's S soft, alright. Also, the layer is on multiply, we're selecting the base color, and now we're gonna start making the shadows. So, also, by the way, that's my stabilizer settings. Usually when I'm doing shadowing, I make the force fade at 60 or something. So as you can see that we're following the line art and making shadows. Making shadows. We are making shadows. We're not making something similar to shadows, we are making shadows. You see that it kind of goes beyond the line art a bit, and now we're also collecting everything to the top. I have no idea why I collect everything to the top during the shading part rather than the line art part. I have no idea. So we're just collecting everything, bringing it to the top, and as you can see, I do not have every single thing connecting to the top. I mostly just have the bangs, and that's about it. Now we're just following the line art, creating some shadows. Now, for all the veterans here, or, all the people that's been here and that's watched my hair tutorials, you'll know the #1 rule that I have when shading hair. If you guessed it, then congratulations, you're a legend. If you didn't guess it, that's okay, you're still a legend and I love you still, even though I have no idea who you are. You're still great. I don't get it, it's 9 a.m, I'm still really sleepy. I woke up at around 7:30. Anyway, so I'm also just cutting the larger strands into 2 more pieces or something, not strands, locks of hair. Focus on each lock of hair, okay? That's the motto of hair shading. I have no idea. I heard it from one artist one time. They're oh, just focus on each lock of hair, and I don't know why that was so groundbreaking for me. I'm just they're a genius. Focus on each lock of hair. So now I'm just like, you know, yelling it into everyone's faces to focus on each lock of hair. Anyway, with the darker color, as you can see, I'm just like going over the shadows and making them a little darker. Because here's the thing about shading, it's all about layering. You have like a mid-tone shadow, kinda, and then you go in with an even darker shadow, and then after that, darker shadow, until you're satisfied with the result. Making a new layer, setting it to multiply, getting the base color, and the soft brush, it's soft, okay? It's in its name, it's self-explanatory. We're now creating these weird like hook shapes on each lock of hair. Why are we doing that? Because that's how it be, alright? That's how it is. I don't have a reason aside from that's how it is, okay? Detail, I guess, is the reason. It's pretty, okay? I don't know the logic behind it. Now, as you can see, like sometimes you can use a magic wand if it's like going over another lock of hair. You can just use the magic wand to like prevent it from crossing over. Now we're just using, it's a larger brush, but it's the same brush. And we also lowered the opacity, if you noticed. If you didn't notice, that's fine. I should be talking about that instead of talking about whatever I was talking about. So, lowering the opacity makes the brush even softer, where we are creating more softer shades for each lock of hair. Since my lighting is coming from the upper right corner, all the shadows are landing on like the left side. Since everything's kind of coming from if the lighting is coming from the right, you're going to make your shadows on the left. For lighting, there's shadows on the opposite of where the lighting is. My phone is 15%, so yes. Now with the new layer on screen, we will be selecting the base color once again. And now we are doing little like scribbly... God man, I'm so tired. Alright, we're doing little scribbly like highlights. As you can see, this isn't completely random. We're making longer strokes for where a lock of hair, never mind. It looks like junk. So we're selecting the lightest color of the hair that we have, and now we are simply going to create squiggles once again. As I said, these aren't random. You can see that I'm getting thinner when it comes to the middle of the lock of hair, but I kind of make a longer stroke when it's around like touching the liner or something. You see? And now we're making a long strand. Now the brush that I use for eraser, it's nothing special, okay? It's just it's just a pen dip soft, I believe. Now we're cutting up the hair whenever it touches the liner because we do not want to touch the liner. Because the liner is kind of where most of the shadowing is, and there's not light where there's darkness. Alright, and now we're just doing like a little scribbly thing to kind of give it a bit of texture. And now we change the brush size every time the highlight gets bigger. We're going to make the brush bigger. But you see that we just want like a little bit longer pieces around the edge of each highlight. Okay, and then I also adjusted the opacity to make it like a lot softer. As you can see, the opacity of the brush is at 14. And now with the smudge, we are just making some little fine adjustments. Pushing some things up, pushing some things down, just to like even it out and stuff. Yeah. How often do I say stuff? Now we're making a multiply layer underneath this screen layer. And we're selecting the base color with our soft brush, and we are creating some shadows underneath the highlights. Despite the fact that literally like 15 seconds ago I said there's not light where there's shadow, well, now there is light where there's shadow. What's the logic behind that? There is no logic behind that. It's just pretty, okay? Your art doesn't always have to be logical or make sense. That's kind of the thing that I don't really like about realism, is it's so like restraining, it's so everything's gotta make sense. But I mean, in like cartoonism or anime, certain things don't make sense. The whole reason for it is that it looks pretty. Don't do it makes sense, do it looks nice, unless you're doing realism. If you're doing realism, then don't listen to me, okay? Alright, so with the soft brush, you can see we already have lines of like our shadows. Now we're just going over the layers with like the really soft brush and just creating even more shadows and more details. Woo. Yeah, alright. So it's just all about layering, as I said. We're just layering it. Honestly, this is like the most fun part for me, is like the extra layering, because kind of the guidelines are already there from your main shadows. They're just kind of like, you know, making a little different. Creating a new layer, setting it to multiply. No, never mind. We are setting it to overlay. We're using black, and we're going to use an airbrush. And we're going to make the opposite side of where the lighting is, which is on the left side. We're going to be making it darker. And honestly, that yellow thing that I just did didn't really make a difference, so we are setting a new layer, setting it to add, which is like a really pretty glow, and we're getting some of that nice mustard yellow, orange, mango color, and we're just creating some lighting on the right side of the face. And now we're getting the skin tone, dabbing it on the bangs, and we are setting it to lighten. We're also adjusting the opacity a little bit if you want to. And now with the line art brush, we're putting on Force Fade again. This is above the line art layer, by the way. This is above everything. We are now just like selecting random parts of the hair and making strands that come off of it. Strands in anime, I don't know why, or this particular anime style, it's gonna be very thin strands. So my canvas is pretty big. It's a big boy. So our lines are just going to be like 6.3. Yeah, but you know what? It really depends on like the canvas size that you're using. So now we're just getting an even thinner brush, 2.8, with some white. I have no idea why, but I see in anime they just have like this random white strands everywhere. I know it's my little brother, he's got like lots of white hair. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of looks cool. So with the new layer, not the new layer, we're locking the layer. What locking does is kind of like clipping, except without the extra layer. And we're just making certain parts darker. And now with the screen layer, we locked it, and now I'm using pink to kind of create like a bit of a gradient where the highlight's going to be pink, yellow, blue. Why are you asking? I have no idea. It's just kind of rainbowish highlights look pretty, okay? It looks pretty. Now with the new layer, we are just going to be using the line art brush. Select the color of your line art, and now I'm just going over the shadowing of like the roots of the hair that I had earlier, and I'm just going to make it more like refined so it's easier to see. And if you zoom up, my voice is cracked. That's so embarrassing. Am I going to edit that out? No, I am not. Okay, just remind you guys that I'm an imperfect human that has a cracky voice that sounds like this all the time. Alright. Anyway, so we're just going over again and darkening some shadows. As you can see. Why am I so tired? I'm not a night owl, but I'm not a morning person. I got the short end of the stick on literally everything. So we're just using some light blue on a multiply layer. I have no idea why I'm using light blue. Hardly makes a difference. So with a new layer, we're still just refining some shadows up. You see I just picked a random color in there. Of course this is on a multiply layer. We're using the line brush. I swear I am going to snap some necks if someone, never mind, I'm too weak to snap necks. I'm like a noodle person, guys. I'm skinny as hell. Alright, I'm a noodle arm human. I can't do harm. But I'm gonna be snapping necks if someone says, what brush do you use? I'm literally saying it. These are custom brushes. It's in the description. If you guys do not have these brushes, follow the description. Please, please, please do not ask, because I'm tired of replying to every single comment and being like, okay, you see all the difference that makes? By the way, I want to describe something about values. What are values, you may ask? Values is I have no idea why I just paused. There's a leaf that flew on the windshield, but it kind of looked like a snake. Alright, anyway, so values is your balance between light and dark. Because you want light highlights, and you want dark shadows, and you want even darker shadows, and you want mid-tones and stuff. Why do you want a good balance of mid-tones, light colors, and darker shadows, you may ask? Well, it makes your art pop, it makes your art gorgeous. We're getting a new layer. We're getting a really saturated blue, and you can see that nice glow that it has. We're just putting it over the screen layer. We're putting it over that pretty highlight that we have to make it like really like pop out. By the way, I'm using an airbrush. Yes, for those people that say do not use an airbrush, it's bad for your art. I use an airbrush literally all the time, okay? Just don't make an ad brush like, not an ad brush, let's call it an airbrush. Yeah, I'm smart. So we're just making like little tiny highlights at the opposite side of the hair, just to create like a little bit more of a, I don't know, it kind of makes it look like it pops out a bit more, add some more depth. So also when you're shading hair, know where your light source is coming from, okay? Sometimes I'm like, the light's coming from everywhere, but most times the lighting comes from the upper right corner. Alright, so I hope you guys understood something. I hope you guys liked my extremely dry jokes. Some people are like, wait, she made jokes? Like, yeah, I know, it's very not noticeable. Anyway, I got a new mic. It's a clip-on mic thingy, so I'm just attaching it to my shirt. So yeah, if you guys didn't notice I got a new mic, then I guess I wasted my money. If you did notice, then I guess I did not waste my money. Alright, anyway, it was like cheap as hell though, since I'm like broke. So yeah. Alright, anyway, I know you guys are all like dying to see not all of you. Some of you guys want to see the results for the fan art contest, and I am looking through them, but there's like 170 entries on YouTube. So I'm like looking through all of them, guys. Have mercy on me and my slow Wi-Fi. I'm actually using mobile data, but like my slow network. Have mercy on me, okay? Anyway, I have a new addiction to bagels, cream cheese, and root beer is life, even though I hardly ever drink root beer. Root beer is non-alcoholic. I'm not doing anything illegal. This 15-year-old is a good girl. Alright, anyways, results will be out soon. I hope that you guys all learned something. Take care, and see you next time. Also, please check out Wing Fox. Yep. Okay, bye.